What's going on, Raider Nation? I'm Joe Morley. If you guys don't know who I am, you can follow me right here on Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff right below. But really, what I've been talking about is: are the Raiders better than the 1-3 record that they show? And usually, people say no. You are what your record portrays you to be, right? You are what your record is. But sometimes that's not true. Sometimes you're looking around and people have just a tough schedule, right? They have a tough couple games into the season. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are 4-0 right now, but every team that they played is a combined one win. So do they really? Do you really? Yeah. I mean, is that a bad example? Probably, because the Buffalo Bills are still a good team, but they have some holes. So the Raiders are 1-3, and here's the question: like 1-3, they played. They play the Patriots, which they won it. What's up, V? Good morning or afternoon. It's afternoon, right? Then they played a playoff team in the Patriots. They play or in the Chargers. They played a playoff team in the Washington Commanders. And then last week was the only one where we're looking at like scratching our head, going, maybe we should. But are the Bears an improved team, right? Because that is the Bears' second straight win, and so they are 2-2. So when you're looking at the Raiders' 1-3 record, you're just wondering, like, have they improved from this year? Have they improved from last year? What are they looking? And that's you're basically we're asking ourselves: has Pete Carroll made a difference with this team? And is it growing and is it getting better? Because at the end of the day, that's what we want to see, right? So currently this season, the Raiders have the 24th most points scored. So 24th scored points, 18th in total yards for our offense. But what's killing the Raiders right now is the 8 turnovers that they've given, which is putting them 29th best in the league. Our passing game is mid. We're in the middle of it right now. We're the 14th most passing yards in the league with the 16th most attempts and 15th most passing touchdowns. So we're right there in the middle, but we're number one in interceptions, right? We're number one. Our Geno Smith, we already know, we covered that. Geno Smith throws the most interceptions as of right now. The running game is where we were getting question marks last week. It brought it up just a little bit, but we're still 20th in attempt in running. We're 15th in yards, and we're 22nd in rushing touchdowns. So that's where it's kind of like, oh, man. And we're not getting the average. Our own 26 is where we start our drives at. We need to get that fixed, because we're averaging – the Raiders' average drive start, on the yardage, is the 26-yard line. You know where the opponents are starting? You know where our opponent's average is? The 37-yard line. The 37 – oh, my bad. Yeah, it is a 37. It is 37-yard line. So right off the bat, we're giving them 11 more yards right off the bat to start it. I'm at the UFC Fit Gym about to take a shower. Cool. But anyways, so like I'm saying, Raider fans, I'm out here and I'm trying to see if there is something that we have improved on this year. And then I'm looking at the defense. And it seems like our defense has been a bend, don't break, right? Like when our offense makes those turnovers and those bad turnovers, we've been able to see our defense go out there and stop them and hold them to 3 points or whatever they need to do. And it feels like they minimize as what could be worse, right, than what at least on the scoreboard, it could be worse. Our defense is 22nd in points for, so meaning that they've given up some points. They're 21 in yards allowed, which, like I said, we're a bend don't break. As long as you don't let them score the touchdown, sometimes it's all right. But we're getting turnovers, and that's something that we haven't seen from our defense in a long time, right? Like, yes, our offense is turning the ball over, and so we're not benefiting the most from it. But for the first time in years, our defense is in the top 15 right now in turnovers. We've gotten 4 turnovers for our defense. It doesn't help that our offense is giving the ball back. But our defense is creating turnovers, and that's what you got to love. And that's one thing that I don't know if it's Pete Carroll, but I mean, Patrick Graham has been here for a couple of years and we struggled with it. So it looks like whatever they're doing, whatever they're teaching to get these turnovers, it's working, right? It's working. Something is working for the Raiders in that aspect of getting the turnovers because, I mean, that right there is going to minimize a lot of stuff. If you can stop the other team with turnovers, it's going to help. But we've also given up the fourth most first downs. Like our team, we have to get off the field. We have to stop these teams, and it's just what's going on. But it's not like we're getting beat in every aspect of the game. Like remember, like we were like worried about we were worried about our secondary, and yes, they've given up a lot of yards, but they're kind of right in the middle of right there. And then we were worried about our rush defense. They're kind of right in the middle. So it's not like we have a horrible defense. We don't have an elite defense. We don't have a horrible defense. We have a middle of the line defense just getting worked over because they get tired later in the game because they're always on the field because they're always trying to protect our offense. But I see improvement, and that's the one thing that we're looking at, right? We're looking at improvement if Pete Carroll has improved this. And you have to say, yes, one, even no matter what, right? No matter what the way our offense has turned the ball over, being last year we had the 27th ranked offense, right? And we couldn't score points. We had the 29th in points. So we're already doing better in offense, even though the turnovers are the bugaboo or whatever you want to say. However, that's what's bugging us. That's what's holding us down. That's our Achilles heel. And I think and the offensive line. And with Colton Miller going out this week, that's where we're going to have to test it once again. Like we were like, yeah, our offensive line started to look better for one game. Then we lost our best offensive tackle. And that's where we're going to have a little bit of question marks this week against the Indianapolis Colts. But I'm just looking like overall. Last year at this time, with Antonio Pierce as our head coach, the Raiders were 2-2. But we also had one of the worst losses I've ever been to and watched in person at a Raider game, and that was that Carolina Panther game. And some people can say that the Washington loss was just as bad. I don't think it was. That Carolina Panther game was probably worse than anything else. And it was what, 36-22 was the final, but they just straight out dominated us and had like 437 yards and just came in here and I think they were 0-3 or 0-2 at the time. They brought in their backup. Like I think that was a worse loss. But then the Raiders bounced back. The Raiders were 2-2 at this time last year. And they had they lost to the Carolina Panthers. They had beat the Ravens, which got everybody hyped up, right? They lost to the Chargers in week 1, and then they beat the Browns. Well, technically, we got lucky that they beat the Browns because there was an Amari Cooper long touchdown pass that was called back on a fluke holding penalty, which I'll take. As a Raider fan, we'll take that. We'll take anything we can get, right? But it was just part of it. So when you're looking at the team, and you're looking at last year's offense or defense at this time had already given up close to 1,500 yards of 1,500 yards against them. And this year, we're not looking at that much. This year, we're a little bit better. We're getting there, but like I said, I think that is the Patrick Graham way. The bend don't break. And so when you're looking at where the Raiders are right now, and you're looking at the standings, and you're going, hey, is the season over? I mean, is 1-3 over? Not yet. It's not yet. As of right now, the Raiders are 10th in the AFC conference, right? So of course you're gonna have the Buffalo Bills, the Chargers, the Steelers, Colts, who we play this weekend, and if we can pull that win, that's gonna help us in that. Jacksonville, Cincinnati is having a hard time, but somehow they're still 2-2 and right there on the playoff bubble. Then Kansas City, who's coming alive. Denver, New England, who we've already beaten, and then the Raiders are sitting there at 1-3. So it's going to be a tough uphill battle if we're really being honest with ourselves. If we think the Raiders still have it to make it into there, but the Raiders have a couple tiebreakers. I said with the win, and if they can get the win over Indianapolis this weekend, um, then they play the Titans, which is another AFC opponent, which is below us. That is the worst team. So they say they could pick that one up. Then they'll play the Jacksonville, or then they play the Chiefs, and I don't know. That's a tough one. But I'm looking at Jacksonville. Jacksonville's ahead of us right now too. Those are some winnable games that the Raiders are able to go out there and get and try to stack these victories. And I'm looking at okay. So when I talked about the Raiders in the offseason, I know a lot of people were upset because they said I didn't give the Raiders the respect that I should have respected them, and I should have given them a better win-loss total. I had the Raiders at 7-10 with a couple of games that could have gone either way, making it 9 wins or even going to five losses. But I had them at 7-10. But at this point in the time, I had them at 2-2, and so 2-2 is where I expect them to be. 1-3, okay, we can handle that. So we got Indianapolis, Tennessee, I guess, and Kansas City. Then we got the bye week. Can we get into the bye at 3-3, or I mean at 3-4, or 4-3? Like, can we minimize this and only go in there with one more loss? Or can we go in there with just 3 losses and maybe win 3 in a row? Like, that would be something, right? That's what we're looking at to be able to get to the bye week, which is week 8, be able to reset a little bit and go, and then play Jacksonville, Denver, Dallas, Cleveland. Those are some games, because towards the end of the year, when we got to go to Philly, right? I don't know how good the New York Giants will be by then, but their defense is still pretty good. In Kansas City at the end of the year, those are some games that we're like, if we are sitting at 6-6, or we're sitting right there at that 500 level, we can try to make that run for the playoffs. But like you said, or like I said, our division is tough already. Let us see what Steve said. We need some consistency in the coaching staff. We can't have a turnstile for coaches and schemes. I say give Pete the chance to turn things around. Let's see how we are doing at the end of the season. Are we playing better and showing signs of continuing improvement? We may only have 6 to 7 wins, but hopefully we are more competitive than seasons past. We have been scoring more points than the last season so far. Well, yes, I agree with you, and I've talked at length of that, of where when going gets tough. I understand where Raider fans come from, where they get pissed off, right? When we're emotional, we're an emotional fan base, but we've always said, fire the coach, bench the quarterback, do whatever, like move him, do this, cut him. Like, that is our first reaction, and that is your first emotional reaction, is to just get rid of everybody. But it hasn't worked for us for years, and it's not going to work for us to continue doing that. And so, no, the answer is not to get rid of Pete Carroll. It's not to fire Brendan Carroll. It's not to bench Geno Smith. Is exactly what Steve is saying. It's to preach patience. And I know, and say, trust the process, right? Trust the process. We've heard that shit. We don't want to hear that shit, but it's the truth. Every team has got to do it. Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin, 15 plus years. Ravens, 15 plus years. Andy Reid, 15 plus years, right? You're looking at some of these guys that are continually in their programs and running their stuff, and they go through their ups and downs, but they live through it and continue to grow, and that's what happens. What the Raiders are fighting with Pete Carroll is Pete Carroll's age at 74 years old, and they did give him a 3-year contract. He is going to do, but we're also not only looking for us to improve every single year and improve with Pete Carroll, we're also looking for somebody who could step up and be Pete Carroll's replacement, and we're maybe hoping that maybe that would have been Chip Kelly or Patrick Graham or one of these guys, because, I mean, granted, he is 74 years old. He's 77 or 78 by the time he retires. I don't know how much longer Pete can go, but, I mean, the guy looks way better than I do, so we'll continue that topic at another point. But yes, it is not to turn over and not to do any of that, and not to. Yeah, I'm not here to say I back the Raiders coaches until they're not our coaches anymore. I'm just asking at right now, do you think the Raiders are better than their record at 1-3? And I would say yes. I think they are a better team than their 1-3 record portrays them to be. But at the end of the day, you are what your record says you are, right? So uh, that's the main thing. But anyways, Raider fans, how are you guys feeling about this? I don't want to get into the Colts game until tomorrow. I'll really get into the Colts game tomorrow, and we'll start breaking that down just a little bit, and we'll talk about that. What's up, David? He's a Raider fan for life. Appreciate it. Yeah, if you are on Facebook or you are on if you are on YouTube, I could pull your comments on the screen. If you are on Instagram, unfortunately, I don't get to see your comments because Instagram I can go live on there, but they don't put your comments on the screen. So that's the kind of thing. But if you want to come over to one of the YouTube or the Facebook lives and you want to comment something, I am able to talk to it. That is one of the best things about going live. And that's one of the things that I have talked about why I do this show is because Raider fans are frustrated and Raider fans love to get their frustration out. And the best way to do it is through talking and getting it out there because everybody is basically probably feeling the same way you're feeling, if not more pissed off, right? And that's one way we can work through it. It's like an AA meeting for Raider fans. It's Raider Fans Anonymous right here, where we're just going through talking about it. Now, somebody told me that Geno Smith's play this year is worse than Aiden O'Connell's. It's worse than Gardner Minshew's last year. I say no. I don't see that. I see good spurts, and then I see his interceptions, where I think Geno Smith has been a better quarterback overall than those guys. You want to tank for Jamarcus Russell again? No, I'm cool on that, Michael. Imagine if the Raiders would have drafted a different way after that. Do the Raiders draft a quarterback or a lineman next year? It depends on where. It depends on where you are in the draft. Depends on which quarterbacks actually declare for the draft. And then it also depends on the offensive lineman in free agency that we're able to go after because, yes, we can go get a rookie quarterback next year, and we can put him right behind this same offensive line that we have right now. But if our offensive line doesn't show improvement by the end of the year and they're continuing to get Geno killed, they're continuing to get Ashton Genty killed, do we want to put a rookie quarterback back there to get beat up like David Carr did, right? When the Houston Texans got David Carr and they just allowed him to just get knocked around and set the record on him. So yeah, I think it depends on where we're at. And if we really want to take, and that Colton Miller injury is a big one too, but if we really want to build this team, we got to do it. But if we're sitting in the top 5, and there's a couple quarterbacks that I like that I won't mention, but if they're sitting there and that quarterback, and we really feel that he's a game changer and he can win some games for us, then they're going to do it. I was on Instagram. I was on live, Instagram, but I think drafting a quarterback with our first pick, no doubt. Yeah. I mean, we hope to take a quarterback, right? And that's what Geno Smith was brought into the Raiders for. Geno Smith was brought in to be the bridge gap to find a franchise quarterback, not to be the franchise quarterback. He was here to keep us afloat until we found the franchise quarterback. Have the Raiders reached out for you to a contract yet? We need O-line. No, but I started getting my shoulder ready because some people said they need a quarterback too. So, plus my mom won't sign the permission slip. You already know that. JPJ is a monster in that game. Yes, he was. JPJ came back, and he was the lead blocker on a lot of plays, and he gave up no sacks, no pressures. He was doing a great job, and it made you wonder why they haven't had him out there a couple other times. Same thing with Darian Porter, who's having a great time in the secondary now. He didn't play the whole first game, got a couple snaps in the second, and then started playing more and more. So we're going to see more out of Darian Porter on the defensive side. I wonder why the Raiders kept some of these guys out of the first couple games. Same with Raheem Mostert. I was wondering for 3 weeks why the Raiders kept inactivating Raheem Mostert. And then they finally bring him in, right? And he has 70 yards. They put him on kick return, and the Bears were trying to kick away from him. So do we honestly see ourselves making the playoffs? Honestly, I said no playoffs before the season. I said 7-10 with the chance to go 9-7 and being on that playoff bubble. But when you actually look at the Raiders' schedule coming up, and you look at these, there's some tough opponents. Like, people are going to give us a win over Tennessee this week against Indianapolis. Very tough team, right? 3-1 team, can go either way. Tennessee, we should win that game. That's one win. Kansas City, we haven't been good against them in the past, right? Jacksonville has been an improved team, but they are beatable. Denver, Bo Nix hasn't looked that good this year. Dallas has absolutely no defense, but they have the number one offense, and that's going to be a game. Cleveland, no offense, all defense. We've already lost to the Chargers. We get to play them again. Then Denver, Philly, Houston, who is 1-3, so we could probably get that one. New York, Giants, they're up and down, and Kansas City. So if you're really looking at it, you could probably say there's a good 4 wins on there, which would put us at 5 wins on the season, maybe even getting 6 or 7. So you're like, oh my gosh. So no, if you're realistic, it will take a lot, and it will take a lot of change for the Raiders to be able to make the playoffs this year. And people won't want to hear it, but we've seen other things happen. We've seen better miracles happen than what we're looking for, right? Raiders. I coach Pop Warner, and I tell you, no matter how great your players are, you do need time to make everything go properly. My game plan takes time, and it was set up their previous coach. Yeah, and so you are a coach, and you've seen it where the team needs to gel together. The team needs to get the time to play together and feel each other out. And once they get on the field, it's a little different. So, yeah, it's a little bit of patience. I want to see more Crosby interceptions. I mean, that was a badass move, right? It's more and less developing period. Yes, and that's what I want to see. We want to see the Raiders improve each and every week. You don't want to see the same mistakes over and over, and that shows the bad coaching and stuff like that when you're continuously making the same mistakes. Bo Nix made a lot of points, and I think I beat you in my fantasy. I don't know. I don't remember playing fantasy football. I don't. Fantasy football is for losers. Look at the coaches in our division. A lot of them, they didn't start winning. Sean Payton had a horrible first year, right? Harbaugh, their first year didn't go that well. Andy Reid, I don't think he started off well in Kansas City. So, yeah, it takes time. It takes time to get them in there. What's up, Raider Travis? In the house. How you doing today? But, yeah, it takes time. And like I said, it's hard for the Raider Nation to feel and to not want the progress to be picked up quickly. Everybody wants somebody to come in there and win right now. And it's because we've lost for so many years, right? I mean, shit. My birthday is next week, and the last time it's been, I don't want to put my age out there, but I was in high school the last time the Raiders were in the Super Bowl. Let's just say that. And every time a year goes up and my birthday comes, and I'm like, I just want to see the Raiders in the Super Bowl again. Like, I just want to see them competing again. And so I think that is the thing that frustrates Raider fans. And it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be emotional, because that's what we are. We're fans. We want that shit, right? We want to win. And that's one thing I think that Pete Carroll has been different about than some of these other coaches, is he's been able to take the criticism. And I think it's because, one, he's been a veteran coach. He's been everywhere. He's done it. So he's been at the top of the game in the NFL. He's taken the criticism, and he listens to it, and he knows how to play the media. He knows how to get under the player's skin. So that is one different thing that we're seeing. Like last year, Antonio Pierce, who was more of like us, right? He was emotional in his press conference. He called his players out. He did he let the emotions get to him, and he was still, I don't know if he was still like in his playing mode or he was not separating himself from his emotions, and that's sometimes what coaches have to do. I mean, I think it's a very tough job for coaches to be able to do that, because I love to see when coaches are emotional, when coaches are celebrating, and I think Pete Carroll does a very good job at doing that. So that, I think that's what keeps our players' heads on straight. And you heard it after the loss. You've heard what Geno Smith said. He took a bunch of responsibility. You heard Ashton Genty talk about how he had a great game, and then he said, "I don't care about the stats. I want to win." And and then Max Crosby, who absolutely dominated the game, said, "I can do more." And it's like, what more can we do for Max? What do you think of the Colton Miller replacements? I think they're horrible. I think they're very horrible, and I think we need to design some plays to help our offensive line, which they did against the Bears. But if you think Geno and Ashton Genty were struggling before, just wait. Now they got what, Stone Forsythe coming on, and I think that's how you say his name. And like, we'll see if he does, but he was ranked as one of the worst offensive linemen last year. And then we have the rookies, which if he starts to struggle, I would rather the rookie be in there, and I'd rather a rookie make a mistake and at least we can say he's learning than have a veteran in there that's going to make it worse. Impatience fans makes this team unbearable, but just be realistic. The turnover we have at quarterback and coaches, and hell, even the wide receiver spot has just been, yes. And that's the thing. Myth is this team has been tore down and rebuilt like 3 or 4 times in the last 4 years to try to fit somebody's scheme. And now we're like, okay, Pete Carroll, here's this garbage roster. Do something with it. And he's like, yeah, I can win 10 games. And then he's like looking at it going, maybe I can't. Maybe I can't. But to actually build a solid foundation, and that's where they got to go. And yes, we have Brock Bowers, yes, we have Ranchi Dinty, but we have to start building the trenches for this team to actually start working. We are trash. I mean, Ricky, I wish I could say that we aren't, but I mean, we are what our record says it is, right? I was 12 the last Super Bowl win, been waiting 41 years for another. So I wasn't even born when the Raiders won the Super Bowl last time. When they actually won the Super Bowl. But I was in high school when they actually went to the Super Bowl and they got blown out by the Tampa Bay. So you got that if I want to age myself just a little bit there. But Raider fans, I think we're 4 games in the season, and we just need to continue to see how this team improves and continue to see how the team reacts. Like at practice today, it looked like from what I saw that the Raiders were still hyped up, still ready to go, still eager, and that's on coaching. That's Pete Carroll still getting him to believe in what he's doing, and that's what we want to see. This is year 1 of Pete Carroll and John Spytek. Allow them to continue to grow and see what this roster actually needs and improve it week by week. And yes, that's probably not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear that the Raiders will have another losing season or a 500 season, a non-playoff season. But in the long run, we've talked about it. We're not trying to build just for one season, right? Pete Carroll's not coming in here just to win one season. He doesn't want to be the team that buys it and turns around next year and sells everybody off. What you want to be is you want to build your team for years to come. 3 ways. You want to make playoffs multiple years in a row. You want to be at a chance to go for the championship every single year. And that comes with building depth on your roster. And that's something that the Raiders haven't had in a long time. We've gone out and tried to just change over our defense, change over our roster with free agents every single year, giving them 1-year, 2-year deals, and then shipping them out and not being able to draft correctly. And so it comes with building depth on your team, and because who wins games later on in the season? Most of the time, it's not your starters. Most of the time, it's your backups, the guys that come in here, because it's a long season for these guys, and injuries happen, and people go down, and the next man up mentality. And if you don't have a guy that can replace your all-pro guy or your starting guy, it's going to be even a longer season. And that's what happens to the Raiders, because the Raiders, one, don't have the talent or the talent at every position to continue to compete, and they're learning. But then when the injury bug happens, then it pushes them one step backwards again, and they have to continue going. But I appreciate everybody who showed up today. It's a quick show today. I got some stuff I got to do, but Thursday Night Football on tonight. And tomorrow I'll be back live talking about the Colts game, getting ready for it, and breaking that game down, in my opinion, of what the Raiders can do to win that game. So there is a few things I want to talk about that. I just didn't want to talk about the Colts too early in it. But Javier saying our receivers with each and every game are given way too much room and never looking at the giving us a chance and stop. It's just all sports. Yeah. To be honest, our team is very young, and yes, and that is true. Our team is very young, and this is, I think we're the 8th youngest team in the NFL right now. You're commenting on the IG, yeah. That's what I mean. I apologize for that. Like I want to go live on IG because it gives me more eyes, but yes, you aren't able to. For some reason, it won't pull up the IG comments on the screen over here. So it's either Facebook or Instagram or YouTube that does it. I got named after Marcus Allen's. I said, see, that's a good one. That's how you know people love football right there. Geno's a better quarterback. Daniel Jones has confidence right now, and that's all it takes. Like, you don't have to have the greatest talent, but the confidence level you have to have. Like, you have to be able to have some confidence. After lame ass Colts. I imagine if we still had the 2020 team, I don't know what to say about the 2020 team, because I don't know how good that team would have been a year after. But I appreciate everybody who showed up for this show. I will go live again tomorrow. And like I said, tomorrow's show, we'll break down the Colts, and I'll answer some more questions that you guys have, and continue to keep our faith in this rebuild of slash trust the process era, right? And go to that. How do I pay to go to all the games? I don't know, dude. I sell OnlyFans, so I appreciate it. I sell my OnlyFans and feet pics, and some people just love big guys. You know what I mean? But anyways, guys, have a great time. Have a great rest of the afternoon. Watch some Thursday Night Football. Hopefully the Niners get smashed tonight, so we can make fun of them. And that's all we can ask, right? So have a great afternoon, guys.